Hi, my name is Jeremy Haskell with JobsInTheUS.com, and we're here at the Omni Mount Washington Hotel in Brettonwood, New Hampshire for the 2015 Strategic HR New England Conference. I'm joined now by Chris Farrell from American Public Media, who is also the author of Unretirement, How Baby Boomers Are Changing the Way We Think About Work, Community, and the Good Life. So Chris, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So we're obviously in a very interesting time as it comes to human resources and the converging workforces.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is one of the key challenges that we're facing today as these kind of things come together?
Well, I think one of the key challenges is about engagement, passion, purpose, calling. I mean, these are words that you're hearing more and more. And when I was writing the book on retirement, I interviewed a lot of late 50-somethings and early 60-somethings, and you'd have a conversation. And it was about, I want to keep earning an income, I want to be independent, but I also want to do a job that has meaning, that makes a difference. It's not just about paying the bills. And I'm at the age where a lot of young college graduates come and talk to me and sort of informational, what is this career thing? You know, how do you figure out this career thing? And these are wonderful conversations. And they talk about they want to be independent, they want to make an income, but they want to do something that they feel proud about, that's making a difference, that's giving back. So the conversation that you're having with these 20-somethings and these 60-somethings is the exact same conversation. And the only difference is that the 20-something believes time is infinity, and the 60-something feels that time is short. So I think there really is this conversation about this blurring, this blending of work and ordinary life. And we typically talk about this as a bad thing. You can't get away from the email. You can't get away from the cell phone. Well, the fact of the matter is you can. But another way of looking at it is what we think about what is a good life. And what makes us happy and what gives us return and what keeps us engaged. We're bringing those expectations into the workplace. And I think this is a dramatic transformation of work. And it's the human resource opportunity of our era, but it's also the challenge of our era.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. And you talk about that kind of the siloing of the generations in terms of how they're looked at. But at the end of the day, they really kind of want the same sort of thing, albeit time being a little bit of a different consideration. What do you think is one of the opportunities that HR, being the people function of an organization, can do to kind of help break down those kinds of silos between generations and help them to understand that we're really looking for the same sorts of things?
So I think a lot of it is to realize that, you can't really control when someone grew up in terms of the business cycle. And, technology changes and whether we're at war or we're not at war. I mean, these background things really matter. But what you can control is about how you treat people at the workplace. And realizing that a lot of this sort of generational conflict and that's discussed out there is basically nonsense because people kind of want the same thing. Mm-hmm. They really want to feel proud and engaged about what they're doing. So it's really focusing on those basics. And one of the things that I would look at is, do we want to have our human resources much more focused on transitions and helping people with their transitions? So one example is learning. Now, there's been a lot of talk about millennials do like to learn, and they come on the job and they want to learn. Well, so do boomers. And yet I still have conversations with people in human resources or management, senior management, not necessarily human resources, and they'll say, well, if we educate them, they're going to leave. And my response is, if you don't educate them, they're going to leave. But if you become known as the place where you get a good education, where you get ongoing education, even if they leave, guess what? That person's going to be an ambassador. And they're going to turn to somebody else who says, I want to go to work someplace where I can learn. They're going to say, go to this place, mm-hmm. because that's exactly what they're going to do. So I think it's accepting, most companies now, particularly big companies, have 401k plan. They have some kind of retirement savings plan. But what about helping your workers make a transition to what's next? Your talented employees, they're engaged, they want to continue to contribute. So rather than think about, okay, let's get them off the payroll now, they filed mm-hmm. for the retirement, help them figure out what's next. Maybe you're a for-profit company and they want to work in the nonprofit sector, matchmaking service. There's all these kinds of things about embracing the transition as opposed to fighting the transition.
No, that makes a tremendous amount of sense, because we always talk about, like you said, in HR it is about transition and moving, but sometimes I think it's important to embrace that is where we are. It's constant state of change. And so rather than looking at it as a unique event, understanding that change is constantly going everywhere.
And I'm sure you know a lot more about this than I do, but aren't the employees you want to keep the ones who can make those transitions?
Absolutely, absolutely. Very good points, and we're looking forward to your talk, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.